What's up, everybody? I'm Daniel Moran from capitalism.com. Today we're going to talk about morning routines, and we're going to fix yours so that we can hack success. It's really popular right now to craft the perfect morning routine. I'm going to do my best to simplify it by giving you one thing to stop doing and one thing to start doing. And if you only do that, you'll be well ahead of most people. And then at the end of this video, we'll complicate it with a scoring practice that I use in order to stay on track towards my goals. So stay tuned and we'll go all into it in this video. It's really popular to give a really complicated morning routine. For example, now these are all friends of mine, but if you listen to Craig Ballantyne, Tim Ferriss, Aubrey Marcus, and by the way, this is Aubrey's company. This is one of the products that I bought because Tim recommended it, right? These are all like morning routine things to do, and everybody has their own stack of supplements, and I have mine in here. But the fact of the matter is, it can be really overwhelming when you hear what somebody else has done or somebody else does, and you think that that is the way in order to create success. But what ultimately happens in that case is you are reverse engineering their results, their life, what they do, the results that they want, and trying to force it into your context. But you don't live in the same world that they do. You know, you might have kids and they don't, or they might be married and you're not, or you might have a job and they don't. So we're all operating with a different set of context in order to operate our lives. So the best morning routine is ultimately going to be the one that leads you closer to your goals. And I don't mean to make that overly simplistic, but the fact of the matter is, depending on what your goals are, we're going to change the morning routine based on getting there. And in a couple minutes, we're going to go through an entire kind of scoring system that I use for myself and that I teach to entrepreneurs who are still growing in their journey or are looking to pave some new results. So we'll go through that in a second. But in the meantime, I want to give you one thing that you should stop doing in the morning and one thing that you should start doing in the morning. And if you only do this, you will be happier, wealthier, and wiser. Let's start with what you should stop doing. Are you ready for it? It's this. Most people, fact checked me on this, ask 5 of your friends, what is the first thing you do in the morning? Wake over and see what interruptions are going to take up your mental energy. Now, I love to check the phone in the morning. Like I live in Texas, so I'm in the central time zone, and I'm a capitalist pig. So like my favorite thing to do is wake up and get excited over my cup of coffee for the stock market to open and see what my investments are doing. I love checking the phone in the morning. I love reading about the Indians, the Cleveland Indians, the first thing in the morning. I love seeing what interruptions are going on. I love seeing what meme my business partner has sent me that's really funny and quirky, right? I like it too. But I have found that I am way happier when I don't react to other people's demands. See, if you want success, if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to be rich, if you want to be happy, if you want to be successful, you must be intentional about how you spend your time so that you can create the results that you want. Here's what I mean by that. Most people, or I should say people who don't get ahead, are always reacting to the world around them. There's, if we want to go on the extreme, we call this a victim mentality or blaming, but really on its simplest form, there's just no time. There's no time to do what you want, to build what you want, if you're constantly responding to the demands of other people. Kids, spouse, work, interruptions, that's enough just on its own. But when we factor this into it, especially first thing in the morning, you are now in stress response from the minute that you wake up. The minute you wake up, this sends a cortisol spike, which is going to put you in stress response, which is going to have you looking for short-term wins rather than building the life that you want. So if nothing else, your morning routine It doesn't have to start with anything. It should start without this. That's rule number one. Now, what do you do with the time? Because you do it, you know you do it. You roll over and it's 5 minutes, it's 10 minutes, and now you're checking it in the shower, you're taking a poop, and you're still on the phone, and you're always responding to the demands of the day, and you never have the time to turn off your brain and actually build what it is that you're going to build. We're going to address that here in a second. But when you're in that stress response, no good decisions come out of that. Making decisions out of fear and stress very rarely leads to success. It leads to short-term wins. It learns to reaction to the moment rather than building out the life. So what do you do instead of checking the phone? It's really hard to stop a habit unless we replace the habit. So what do you do instead? Well, first, when I reach for the phone in the morning, I ask myself a question: do I want to ruin my day today? And then, okay, instead of that, what do? Answer anything else. Play a video game if you want to. Call a friend if you have to. One of my favorites, get up and do 25 push-ups, right? Anything to break the habit. Anytime I want to check my phone, do 25 push-ups. Anytime I want to check the phone, replace it with some other thing. So if we do that, we capture back some of our attention and our time, and that gives us the focus to do what we do next. And what we're going to go into now, instead of not doing something, I'm going to talk about what to do. And if you don't check the phone and you do this one other thing, your morning routine will be just fine. So a really good replacement for checking the phone in the morning, now that you have some of your attention back, is to come sit where you're quiet and can be alone, even if it is for 5 minutes, and to journal. Now, there's one specific thing. If I could only have somebody do one type of journaling, it would just be about what the vision is for your life and what you're going to do about it today. That one thing will shift all the decisions that you make throughout the rest of the day. And your decisions will carve the path of life that you live. It will create the opportunities that show up for you. It is all about the consistent decisions that you are making. So one of the things that has given me a lot of freedom is a strategy from The One Thing. It's a book written by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. And basically it is writing out what the 5-year vision is, and they're like 2 or 3 words, right? So for example, my dream, my goal ever since I was a kid was to buy a Major League Baseball team. That was always my dream ever since I was like 7 years old. So I would put, someday Cleveland Indians. 10 years from now, what do I need to do? What needs to be on track in order for that to happen? Well, okay, so 10 years from now, I need to have a company that is at least doing $25 to $50 million. Right? So that I need to be on track for that. 3 years from now, and just like work it back to 3 months, this week, today. So what you'll find is that you don't need to update this every day in the sense of crafting a new vision every day. It's just a matter of looking back and saying, right, these are the goals that I have set, and therefore I just need to adjust what I'm doing today or this week. That little 2 to 5 minute practice of reviewing, this is what I'm building, this is where I'm going for, and this is what I need to do about it today. That gives you the intent to make good decisions for the rest of the day. So we have now, with one little shift in our morning, captured some of our attention back. We're no longer reacting to the demands of social media and the fires that happen throughout the night. And we caught it with a little 2 to 5 minute practice of now setting the intent of what our most important thing is for the day or for the week. And that if you just create space for that, you'll have a vastly different life 90 days from now. So what we'll go into now is if we wanted to carve out the perfect morning routine, what that might look like. But if you do only what we've talked about so far in this video, you will be miles ahead of where you are now and where everybody else is trending, because everyone else is operating from behind because they're responding to other people and they have no vision for what it is that they're building. If you do this, you will be different and you will have a different life 90 days from now. Now from here, if you want to see what my morning routine looks like, and if you want to look at what we might call the perfect morning routine, we'll go into that right now. Let's go to the basement. We're going to take a trip down into the back room. This is the secret lair. This is where the business happens. So I hold regular workshops here at my home in Austin, Texas. This is one of the places where we might hang out if you ever decide to join us. So I work with entrepreneurs who are already in motion, entrepreneurs who already have either an audience or a product, and we help them create the plan for really extraordinary results. So in 3 days, being with a group of people who are running alongside you when they're following, a path and they have a goal in mind. And usually for people who follow me, that's selling a company, building a company to sell for a big exit, and investing the profits for passive income. When you have an aligned group with that focus, really, really cool things can happen in 2 to 3 days. So, but what's interesting is, we probably spend a good amount of time going through what you need to do, but most of the real work is what's going on in here. Most of the real work is the habits and the decisions that you make, which is why, if you wanted to be perfect, which I don't believe in, and you shouldn't try to be perfect, but if you wanted to accelerate results, having a perfect daily routine, I wouldn't even maybe call it a morning routine, more of a daily routine, can create the system through which you follow to get those results. And that's what we're gonna go into now. I think there's 5 areas of life that if you wanna be successful on, you need to focus on. 5 areas. And we break this into an acronym, which is TRIBE, tribe. I run a mentoring group called The Tribe, which is about becoming the person that you need to be in order to be successful. And we focus on these 5 areas. Most of the time we're talking about business, but you as a person is the biggest factor in whether or not your business is successful, because every business needs one person who is absolutely living and breathing that company. And it's probably gonna be you, which is why, by the way, if you are trying to build several businesses at the same time, the only way that's going to work is if you've got one person in that business who is the head of all of the decisions. You can still be visionary on multiple projects, but if you are a one-person show, doing multiple things is difficult. Not impossible, but very difficult, just because of aligned focus. Story for another day. But it's kind of like building 2 lives at the same time, right? So the TRIBE acronym is the 5 areas of life that we're gonna focus on a daily basis. And they break down into this: time, relationships, income, body, and expansion. All right, so time, how we spend our time, and who we spend our time with are ultimately the things that make us happy. It's not how much money we make, it's not even the results we get, it's do we enjoy our time? Are we in control of our time? Do we have time freedom? And who are we spending it with? Those are the 2 things that ultimately make us happy. And income determines if that's sustainable, right? If we can sustainably live the lives that we want. Our body, obviously, the ROI on our business is really low when we're dead, so we have to take care of that. And expansion is our growth, is how are we expanding the thoughts that we're having? How are we challenging our paradigms? Because if we're not, then we're getting really rusty really quickly. All right, so here's what we do with this. On a monthly or quarterly basis, I like to set targets or visions for each one of these. And they don't need to be anything complicated. It can just be something that gives us a structure for us to make decisions. So for example, time. One of the things that's really important for me in my time is I want the time to create content. It's what I really enjoy doing, being in that zone, doing this for you, right? So I want time for that, which means the habit that I need to practice is blocking out time that is reserved for creating content. And this is what I expressed earlier about how, depending on what the results that you want are, each one of these habits is going to be different. So for me, I want to create lots of content because it's what I enjoy doing. It's how I enjoy my time. So because of that, I need to block it out. And so the habit that I need to do is time blocking. It's just blocking out the time to do what it is that I want. Now, for you, if you are starting in your journey or you've got a really wonk schedule right now, the only thing I want you to put here, the only thing is not checking the phone in the morning and deciding what your intent is going to be for the day. That's all. That is all, because if you can't do that, you have no control over the rest of your day. So this is, if you've got like your focus first thing in the morning, you can move on to tribe 5. If not, go back to step 1 of cutting that one thing out and adding in that one habit. All right, relationships. It's crazy to me how much people undervalue the ROI, the return on investment in relationships. All the opportunities that you will ever have will come from other people. Every dollar that you ever make will come from another person. Everything is relationships. We are relational beings. We are made to be connected to one another. And today, we are more disconnected than ever, and it's getting worse. The idea of being alone on an island, isolated from everyone else, is a new idea. And by this I mean, we're made to be in groups of about 120 people. That's what biology would suggest. So you're made to have a very unique role in the tribe in order to help the tribe grow. But in today's world, we're all living in houses by ourselves. We're creating our own personal brands and following everybody else's roadmap. We're all trying to be like each other. There's very little real connection, and it's hard to maintain. So this is just me, I have a list of 10 people that I like, if they're in a hard time, I will fly to see them. If they call, I answer the phone. This is like my group, right? And I try to make them not work related. I try to make them like, what are the people outside of like my team, which is already like its own family. Outside of that, who's my chosen family? And what I suggest is that you pick 2 people a day and that you connect with those 2 people. So far, what we're looking at here during the course of the morning, wake up, don't check the phone, time block out what your most important things are, and we're gonna make a note of who the 2 people that we're gonna connect with are. And that can be a video text message, an audio message, a text message, a phone call, sending them something. Who are 2 people that even if it's for 5 minutes, we're present with them, or we reach out to them, we express appreciation for them, we water that plant of that relationship. And if you are married, or if you're in a relationship, you will be shocked at the response with your significant other if it is for 5 minutes, there's no phone, and you're just there. You have no idea the conflicts that this will solve. Try me on this. Let me know how that goes in the comments of this video. Income. This is actually really simple. I simply address what is my one thing. Do I have one singular thing that I can do in my business today? Like right now, it's making this video for you. Is there one thing that I can do in my business that it takes me closer to my goals? And did I get it done? Yes or no, pass, fail. Did I get my one thing done? Body. I try before I am online, meaning on the phone, get a sweat in, get a workout in. And I do this because if I don't, I just don't feel like I'm at my best. So my habit for the body that I want is to have some workout in accordance with the goals that you have, whether it's building muscle or losing fat or just being active, going for a walk, getting your 10,000 steps in, whatever it is. And then expansion. Are we thinking about something new? Are we growing? Are we being challenged? And this comes down to the thoughts we put in our brain and the people that we hang out with. So an easy habit for me to put in here is to read, or to listen to a podcast, or to connect with a mentor, or something that stretches you. So let's put this all into a bit of a formula. What this would look like in a daily routine is wake up, don't check the phone, decide what my intent is for the day. At the end of the day, did I get that one thing done? During the course of the day, I'm reaching out to 2 people. End of the day, I read, and hopefully in the morning, I got a sweat in. So wake up, set my intent, go work out, come back and do my one thing, connect with 2 people, read. That's a successful day. And at the end of the day, I simply give myself a score, 1 out of 5. Did I get this one done? Did I get this one done? Did I get this one done? Did I get this one? Oh, I didn't read today. So I got a 4 out of 5. Right? And what you will find if you are going through a hard time, you will find that you're getting lots of 1s and 2s. It's really hard to have a bad quarter if every day you're focusing on what you need to be focusing on, you're connecting with people around you, you're in shape, you're feeding your mind. It's really hard to sustain bad results when you're following this formula. When you're getting 4s and 5s, you're doing pretty darn good. But what you'll find is the minute you start going 3, 2, 1 for any length of time, you're like, I don't know why things just aren't going the way that I want. Because you're not doing the things that produce the results that you want. All right, let's take this baby home. I'm gonna summarize this for you. We'll head back upstairs and I'll give you a few more takeaways. When you're not happy with your level of success or with your life, it can be really easy to fall into the trap of trying to change everything about your life, trying to try way too many things without building up a habit of sustainability. So this is why I use that Tribe 5 mentality, that methodology. And I have a whole podcast about this over at capitalism.com. If you just search for capitalism.com Tribe 5, that will bring up the resources that I have for you on this. But I know just even for me, like it's really easy to fall out of habits. Like right now, I'm not really in the shape that I want to be in. So rather than judge it and make it worse and beat myself up, I know the only thing that I can do is get back into good habits, because we can't decide the results that we get. We can only decide the habits that we practice and the decisions that we make on a regular basis. Our lives are built by the micro decisions that we make every single day. And every time you check the phone, every time you ignore the friend, we're shifting the direction that our life is ultimately going to go. And so the way that we hack the results that we want is to always be in practice on the habits that create those results. It's the only way we have a shot of being fit, happy, rich, whatever it is that you want. So ultimately, I like to give myself a non-judgmental score of how I did throughout the day. If you're going through a particularly hard time or you are starting over in life, I would encourage you to fall on the sword of one of those things. For example, I have a friend named Ben who was going through a really hard time. And so he just decided that every day he would wake up in the morning, not check his phone, but do as many push-ups as he could. And no matter what happened throughout the day, he'd go to bed and say, I did those frickin' push-ups. So what's the one thing that you will never ever miss that will create some sort of momentum in your life? And momentum creates more momentum and more success and more ability for you to do the other things. But the 5 areas that ultimately we want to dial in and have habits that are creating some sort of results are how you spend your time. And we can do that with meditation. We can do that with just skipping the phone in the morning. One habit that gives you back some control on your time and your focus. Relationships, who we spend time with, who are you reaching out to, who are you regularly reaching out to and connecting with, because that is ultimately going to drive your success and your happiness. Your income. Do you have one thing? Do you know what the one singular point of focus for you to do is today, that if you get it done, moves the ball a little bit forward? Your body. It will deteriorate over time if you don't take care of it, and it will take care of you if you give it the food and the habits that it needs. So whether it's adding in greens or it's sweating, what's the one habit that you can do every single day that is sustainable, that gives you results over the long term? And expansion. Are you feeding your mind? Are you putting new thoughts into here that take you closer to where you want to go? Thank you for watching this video. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments. You can find more conversations like this and about business and money and investing and cash flow and purpose and lifestyle when you subscribe to the channel or when you subscribe on the podcast. Just search capitalism.com in your favorite podcast player. Thanks for watching, and I'll chat with you soon.